For you to go through a breakup, be extremely depressed, and go to, jump to Lexapro or Prozac or fucking Zoloft is fucking ridiculous. I'm just being real. You will get over it. What is going on, guys? Nick from Project Enhance, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about a really touchy subject that has been floating all around Reddit. It's been floating all around the internet, and that is the use of SSRIs, or just really any psychiatric medication. But for the sake of this video, we'll just call it SSRIs. Now, SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. SSRIs work by increasing the levels of serotonin in the brain by blocking the reabsorption process called reuptake. Now, most of the time, the most common conditions for SSRI treatment is, OCD, depression, anxiety, and basically everything under that nature. And for the most part, the most common SSRIs are, the Prozacs, the Lexapros, the Zolofts, and basically everything under that nature. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the issues with SSRIs and my unbiased opinion after someone who has had their fair share of SSRIs and is no longer on them. So, why did I start using SSRIs? Well, I started using SSRIs because of the fact that I was dealing with a lot of OCD, and I kind of was looking for a shortcut, right? Just being honest. I was just looking for a shortcut, just looking for something to kind of just quiet those thoughts down. And before even doing any research with the laundry list of side effects that these come with, I just took the medication and just went on about my day. Now, I started with 20 milligrams of Prozac, and then I went to 30, 40, I think I even went up to 50 milligrams at one point. But as far as Prozac, I'll be honest, changed my life. I was a lot less obsessive, I was happier, and I definitely felt a difference in my life, way less anxiety, and I was able to really think the things that I was obsessing about weren't really there anymore, right? Because that's what the medication is designed to do. Now, when I was on Prozac, I didn't really notice much issues besides the most common one, which is a lower libido, right? My libido was low, and I didn't like that. So I fast forward to a year later, and the doctor gave me Wellbutrin to counteract that. Didn't really do much besides make sensation a little bit better, but Wellbutrin didn't really do much, right? I was taken off Wellbutrin. And then after that, I stayed on Prozac for a little bit, and I said I want to try a new medication. And even in between with all the Prozacs and all that type of stuff, we bounced from Celexa to Prestige to all these other medications, all these other different SSRIs to try to find one that actually worked. And then in June 2023, I was put on Anafranil, which was phenomenal. I'm just going to be honest with you. Anafranil was great. My mood was great. My motivation was great. My energy was a lot better. I was a lot more mentally clear, and my libido didn't suffer as much. Now, after being on Anafranil for a little bit, my doctor did end up adding Wellbutrin back into my stack for a better libido, more energy, and it worked for energy, not much for libido. I stayed on Anafranil for about 8-ish months, and I decided to come off. Now, here's why I stopped, and this is the biggest reason, and this is something I think everyone should pay attention to when looking into getting into an SSRI or any psychiatric medication. The main reason I stopped was because I wanted a better libido, but the main reason was because I was afraid of developing the PSSD, which stands for post-SSRI sexual dysfunction, but it comes with a lot of other issues besides sexual dysfunction. Now, PSSD, post-SSRI sexual dysfunction, basically is when you are having side effects from the medication that you're using, you come off the medication, and those side effects don't seem to subside. They continue to last. Now, some people on Reddit and the literature have been suffering from this for years. 10 years plus. I've even heard people 15 years plus, which is crazy. A lot of people, which is the number one common sign, is to have complete loss of genital numbness and emotional numbness, right? So hearing about that, reading about that, I was kind of whoa, that's really scary. That's basically a big part of your life being taken away from you. And I decided to come off. I came off Anafranil in 2024, and things got a lot better, right? I was still on Wellbutrin, right? I stayed on Wellbutrin for I think 5 more months because I kind of felt like Wellbutrin wasn't doing so much harm. It's not that typical SSRI. And by the way, I forgot to mention, Anafranil is a TCA, so it's not an SSRI. It works in similar ways, but not in the way an SSRI does. But I was still on Wellbutrin. I came off Anafranil, and the only side effect I had from Anafranil was brain zaps, for about a week, and it went away. After that, I was fine for the most part, but I did notice I was a lot more obsessive again and kind of feeling a little down. But I was still on Wellbutrin at the time, and I stayed on Wellbutrin from I think February to I think I came off in June, right? That's when I started to wean off. Now, when I came off Wellbutrin, I noticed things got really fucking weird. I was very not interested in doing a lot of things anymore. I was the same things that I really enjoy doing, going to the gym, going to baseball games. I was not really enjoying. I kind of felt very flat. And from my understanding, from talking to a bunch of other coaches, doing some research, is that, your dopamine baseline was ruined from Wellbutrin. Now you're having dopamine dysfunction. I do have another video on how to address that, which will be uploaded this week. But so basically all of the summer I was kind of flat. I was just kind of like floating around. I kind of feel like I had like my head like up my ass. I had like basically no motivation. I was not enjoying the same things I was used to enjoying. And I started just doing some more research, figured out it was dopamine dysfunction, and we addressed that, and now I'm fine. So that's basically my history with SSRIs and psychiatric medications. I really used them as a shortcut. I didn't really need them. I've been off them for about a year, and I've been totally fine. Now, here's where I want to get into a really serious part of the video, and I think people should pay attention. So first off, my experience with them, right? For Prozac, I'll give my experience as a 1 out of 10, 10 being like amazing. I love it so much. I give it about a 6, right? Mental health was great, but there was some other issues. As far as the Nafranil, I give a Nafranil about an 8. I didn't have many issues on Nafranil besides, like, it felt like my brain, my mental arousal was kind of, like, shut down a little bit. But other than that, an Nafranil was great, and if I had to choose one, like, just to be on the rest of my life, I would choose an Nafranil, although I would never go back to any of those medications ever again. So that's my experience with them. That's just how I felt. That does not mean that's how you're going to feel. Now, here's the biggest issue, and this is what I really want to talk about and focus on. A lot of people, like myself, look for SSRIs or those medications as a shortcut, right? And this will be my closing argument for those medications. If you are somebody that is totally functioning in society, right, you might have anxiety, and, your anxiety is not so bad, right? Like, it kind of comes and goes. You could function very well inside. You can go to work, you can get into a relationship, you can go out with your friends, you can live your life. I think it's a really good idea to stay away from fucking up your brain chemistry and staying away from those medications. Now, on the flip side, if you are somebody that your anxiety is, and your depression or just your mental health is diminishing your quality of life, you can't go to work, you can't be in a relationship, you can't go out with your friends and have a good time, you can't basically live your life, and you're just basically fucking bedridden all day because of your mental health, well, then those medications might be worth looking into. I'm not saying to take them, not saying not to take them, but it might be worth giving some research about. If your anxiety is like mild, or if your depression is like mild, or if it's something that you can get over, I would recommend staying away from it. Like, I see this all the time, particularly in women. I've seen it so many times on Reddit. I've overheard it so many times in conversation. Like, women will have, or people will just say, will have a stressful moment in their life, college, or a breakup, or someone passes away in their family, and I get the circumstance. But if you're going to resort to a medication for that, I think is really not smart. And in my opinion, for you to go through a breakup, be extremely depressed, and go to, jump to Lexapro or Prozac or fucking Zoloft is fucking ridiculous. I'm just being real. You will get over it, okay? Like, you will get over it. To jump to a medication like that and fuck with your brain chemistry over a breakup is really not smart, especially with the laundry list of side effects that they do come with, right? There are other ways to manage your anxiety, and I will have another video on that, using over-the-counter supplements and peptides to manage your anxiety. But for some people, they are so quick to jump to these medications when they have not done the research like I have, and their circumstances really not for those medications. Like, for you to take a medication that is prescribed to someone who is, bipolar or has schizophrenia over a breakup, over, your college being stressed out, is really not smart. And that's my point with these medications. I'm not here to bash them, because they do have a place in this earth. A lot of people take them and it changes their fucking lives. But for some people, there is a really big dark side to it, and that is PSSD, which is a irreversible syndrome, although people have reversed it through heavy biohacking protocols and etc. But if you want to run the risk of that, then go ahead. But in my opinion, I think these medications are something to stay away from if you do not need them. Like I said, if your anxiety is not diminishing your quality of life, then you should be staying away from them. Now, I will have a list of all the symptoms of PSSD right here. You could take a look at it and really take into consideration, if you are going to get an SSRI, to consider this, because some people have gotten it and it stays for a really long time. Now, I won't lie, it is rare, right? The literature shows that it's like 1 or 2% of people that get it, right? It's not like definitely going to happen to you, but I personally just wouldn't take that risk, and I personally just wouldn't mess with my brain chemistry again if you're someone, like I said, for the millionth time, that does not need it. So that is basically why I stopped using SSRIs. I felt I didn't need them. I felt there was better ways to manage my anxiety. I felt my libido could have been better, and I just feel like I just did not need them, right? Like I looked for a shortcut at first, stupid mistake of mine, and now I'm here. So that's my experience with SSRIs. That's why I stopped using them, and that's why I try to recommend a lot of people to stay away from them and try to manage their anxiety through other ways, whether that's therapy, whether that's supplements, whether that's CBD oil or gummies, which in my opinion don't really work. But there are some supplements that do work, and some of them are not like super serotonergic either. Like, L-theanine, I've seen a difference with. Selank, right? I have another video coming on how to manage your anxiety without SSRIs, but this is the video I wanted to make about SSRIs. They were a huge part of my life for a long time, and the whole PSSD syndrome, we'll just call it a syndrome or dysfunction, had me really, really scared and worried, especially someone with OCD. I was obsessing over it. I was bugging out over it. And it's a scary syndrome. I mean, people are stuck with side effects for a really, really long time, and there's really no science behind it. I do have a series coming on that, though, because I have done so much research, and I think that there's multiple avenues that you can look at in someone and see, okay, this might fix you, this might not fix you, right? So we can get into that in another video, but I just want to wrap it up here. That's my opinion on SSRIs. Like I said, please take everything I said into consideration, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.